Welcome to the Magnum Report. I'm your host, Mark Magnum, and today the topic is going to be last night's Raw from Nashville, Tennessee. Before I get started, I would like to say please like, subscribe, share, do everything you're supposed to do to help support this channel and help it grow. It's greatly appreciated. Now let's get right into it. Raw starts with the arrival of Rey Mysterio, Logan Paul, Lyra Valkyria, Bayley, and AJ Styles. They do what they normally do on Raw, where they show backstage shots of everybody arriving to the building. And then we get into the actual start of Raw, and it's with Jey Uso coming out, and he starts off yeeting it in Nashville, Tennessee, and the crowd's all into it. And I swear to God, and it kills me every time I see it, but I swear, Michael Cole has absolutely no rhythm at all. It looks like he's trying to dry his nails or something when he's doing his yeeting out there. I mean, it's terrible. It's ridiculous. But he goes out there and he gets out there in the crowd and he's doing his yeet, and he's yeeting all over the place, and everybody's loving it. And then the music stops. It seems like Jay's about to cut a promo, but just like last week, the fans start chanting one more time, one more time. So Jay goes out and he gets the guys to start the music one more time, and he goes out on the announce table. And I love how they shot this, because they shot this in a way where you did not see Gunther at all. They shoot it kind of from the crowd far away, where you can still see Jay on the announce table, and all of a sudden you see somebody yank him to where you don't know exactly what happened. And then you realize it's Gunther, and Gunther attacks him, chops him, beats the life out of him, power bombs him. Then this is a typical Triple H move, where it's a pull apart, to where security comes down and different personnel and Petey Williams. So we had a Petey Williams sighting, so that's always a good thing. But they have it to where they break it up. They make it to where Gunther kind of leaves the ring, but then comes back in, power bombs him again, and then goes to leave like he's done with the whole situation. Seems like the segment's about to be over, right? Well, you hear Jay talking on the microphone, still laying on his back from the beatdown that he just got from Gunther. And they kind of do a deal where he basically just accepts the challenge, and now it's going to be Gunther versus Jey Uso at WrestleMania. And I know there's a bunch of people out here that aren't big on Jey as a wrestler, but you guys, if you can't see the hype, if you can't see how over Jey Uso is, I don't understand what you're watching. We're not watching the same damn thing. I don't get it, because he's over. Is he, my top wrestler they've got in the company right now? No. But at the same time, he's the most over. He's selling the most merch. It makes the most sense. So it's good, in my opinion, that Jay's getting this shot. He's not going for Cody's title. He's going for the World Heavyweight title, a title that I've said in previous podcasts, they have not made that important. I'm not saying that it's not, but they have made it perceived that way with Gunther's entire title reign. So with that in perspective, we've got Jay now going for this title, and I know like I said, there's going to be people bent out of shape about this, but I think it's a good move for Jay, and it pretty much looks as if he's probably going to win, but we'll see it when we get to WrestleMania. But that was a solid segment, I think, and a typical Triple H pull apart. That's what this was. Then we go backstage to Kathy Kelly with Rhea Ripley, and then Io Sky comes in, and she interrupts. And she basically says that she is coming for Rhea. So we'll see where that goes. More for that here in a minute. Now, we go into Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Io Sky and Dakota Kai. Before this match even got started, they announced that the War Raiders were going to be wrestling American Made in a tag title match later on in the show. So that was something kind of out of nowhere. And then we get into the match. I think it was a solid match overall. It wasn't bad. There was a spot in this match that was a little bit scary, where it was Raquel had Io up in the air, kind of like in a flapjack type of position. And then Liv Morgan jumped off the second rope, and they did basically a code breaker spot. But the way that Io landed was beyond scary to me. Looked like she might have broke her nose because she was bleeding from it. But then like maybe a minute or two into that match, after that point, you notice that Liv's bleeding too. So I don't know if when they came down from that move, because I watched the match and I didn't see anything else that could have made Liv bleed. But it looked like maybe in that same spot, in that same flapjack code breaker type situation, that double team move that they did, that maybe I don't know, maybe Io's arm or elbow or something might have caught Liv in the face as they came down. Something happened to where both women were bleeding from this, and it was a very scary spot. But in the end, Io hits the over the moonsault for the win. Like I said, decent match. It wasn't bad at all. That scary spot, and in the beginning, it was a little bit dodgy. You could tell the timing wasn't on right at the beginning of that match, but they got there at the end, and the fans were into it. And Io Sky, I swear, is electric, and she's over. And the fans are like ready for them to do something with her again, and I just hope that they do that with her very, very soon. Then we go into a recap package with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn from the situation from last week where Kevin Owens package pile drove Sami Zayn. And there was also an update on Sami Zayn's health. It was contusions and bruisings and all that kind of stuff where he's got herniated this and herniated that, kayfabe all the way until they probably have their match at the Elimination Chamber. Then we go into Bayley versus Lyra Valkyria, and they did show Roxanne Perez was at ringside for this match. Does she play into it? We'll see. But I thought this was kind of different because it was a babyface versus babyface match. This was a solid match all from start to finish. These two have great chemistry, and my only thing about this match is what I don't like is because in the end Bayley is going for the rose plant, and you have it to where Lyra tries to counter that, but then but Bayley counters that into a roll up for the quick 3 count, to where I wasn't really happy with that because this is the first match that, Lyra's had since she's won that Intercontinental title, and this is the first thing we're going to do with her. Granted, I know you're trying to push Bayley as well, but maybe don't book this match. Like I said, it was babyface versus babyface anyway, to where it was kind of one of those ones where the fans didn't know who to cheer for. They were into the match, don't get me wrong, but you could tell they didn't know who they really wanted to pull for in this match. And then the way they ended it just kind of left a sour taste in my mouth, and I was kind of surprised with them showing Roxanne being at ringside. Kind of surprised she didn't get involved in this match in any way, shape, or form. Later on, they announced in the show that she's going to have a qualifying match next week. But still, it was just kind of shocking to me that Roxanne was not involved, even though they went out of their way to show that she was there. I mean, this match was good. A solid match, like I said, and there was like fisherman busters on the floor. I mean, these two beat each other down. But I just wasn't that happy with Lyra losing right after she's won this title. I mean, it makes her feel meaningless at this point already. Then they go into a video package with Penta, and it's about basically him just cutting a promo, and nicely shot with the fire and the flames and all that, and how they do it with Penta. It was awesome, but it's basically just him, I guess, calling out Kaiser for another match. Then they go from that to Jackie Redmond with an interview with Kaiser, and then Pete Dunne comes in, interrupts, tells basically Kaiser to, I guess Penta and Pete Dunne are going to be wrestling next week, and Pete Dunne tells Kaiser, just stay out of my business, and we'll see where that goes from there. Then we go backstage with Lyra Valkyria and the Alpha Academy, and then Ivy Now and the American-made, basically the Creed brothers, because Chad Gable was not on this show, but she had the Creed brothers with her, and they go into a segment where she's just basically kind of calling her out and saying, I'm coming for your title next. So we'll see where that goes with Ivy Now and Lyra Valkyria. I'm not really too big on this one because they haven't really done enough, in my opinion, with Ivy Now to make me give a damn about this match. And just like I said with Lyra, you just had her beat too, so what am I really looking forward to? Then we go into AJ Styles, and now he's back on Raw, and it was good to see AJ. It's been a while, other than the Royal Rumble, it's been a while, so it was good to see him back in a WWE ring. Cut a decent promo. Nashville loves them some AJ Styles, and he cut a good promo just basically talking about his return, his road back, and then Dominic Mysterio interrupts, and typical Dominic, Nashville did not give a damn about no Dominic Mysterio, booed him out the building like always. But then at the end, you had AJ call Dominic Mysterio basically just Rey Mysterio's punk ass kid. That's what he called him, which caused Carlito and Dominic to attack him. In the end, AJ comes out on top. It's a phenomenal for him, and it sets up a match for next week where it's going to be Dominic Mysterio versus AJ Styles. So I'm sure that'll be a good match, a good first real good match for AJ as he comes back. So it's going to be interesting to see that. Then Jackie Redmond interviews Seth Rollins kind of up on a catwalk like they did a couple weeks ago with CM Punk, when CM Punk made the Hulk Hogan comment about throwing his dusty ass over the top rope. So they're shooting some of these interviews, which I like, in a different way. It's not just the backstage ones or the typical in-ring promos. Now they're kind of going outside of what they normally do, and I like that. So it's a good thing. And Seth's cutting a promo just talking about how he's confident and how he's focused on the Elimination Chamber. And then all of a sudden, Finn Balor walks into the shot, and he's talking about how it seems like Seth Rollins is starting to fall apart, and it's just basically baiting for their match for next week, which good stuff between both guys. Nothing to write home about, but decent just to lead into next week's match. And then we have AJ Styles backstage, and he's talking with Adam Pearce. And now, like I said, it's going to be AJ Styles versus Dominic Mysterio. But after that, we had a face-to-face. And this is what I thought was the most interesting part of this little backstage segment, was that we have AJ Styles and the Intercontinental Champion Braun Breaker go face-to-face. So is this a possible WrestleMania match tease? I think it might be. And then we go into the tag team title match of the War Raiders versus American Made. 2 minutes that goes into the commercial break. Just like a lot of these matches, they're instantly, it wasn't too long before they go into commercial break. That's one of my biggest complaints about Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, any of the WWE shows, is they, at least the televised ones obviously, is that they always go to commercial break a minute and a half, 2 minutes, sometimes 3 minutes into the match. And it just makes it so hard to get into some of these matches. When you start to get into it, you may have just got your popcorn and now I got to watch a American beer commercial with Hulk Hogan on it, or whatever the commercial. Like, you instantly just go to commercial on this, and it just, for me, it takes me out of it a little bit, and I hate that. That's why I love premium live events, pay-per-views, whatever you want to call them, because it's just a straight match, the whole flow. You get to see it all. You don't get that breakup and the stopping of the momentum of the match. So, but anyway, this match here was a pretty good one. Ivar, man, I swear he is so underrated now. I think so underappreciated with some of the stuff he does at the size that he is. He is awesome to watch in the ring. And then the Creeds hit this awesome superplex into a moonsault spot, which was great, because Julius just leaps to the top rope like a gazelle and just gets up there, hits the superplex, and then you have Brutus hit that moonsault. It was just awesome to see. But then, out of nowhere, the Viking Raiders get back, or the War Raiders, since they keep changing their name so much, I even forgot. But the War Raiders are about to hit their finish, and Julius ends up hitting Ivar in the head with the title. And I think this was a very crappy ending to a very good match. This was a good TV match. Solid, awesome TV match that just ended in a way where obviously this is going to go down a couple more times, or they're going to revisit this match again. But for me, I was not too big on how they ended this match at all, because I was into it, and then you guys just pulled it right away from me right when I was getting real deep into it. Sucked. Then we go into more Judgment Day infighting. We had Judgment Day backstage, and Finn vows to win next week against Seth Rollins. I don't think he is, but I guess we'll have to watch and see next week. Then we have Rhea finally challenging Io to a match the week after Elimination Chamber. You would figure they might want to put that on the pay-per-view, but for some reason they're putting it off until the week after. So we have that. And then we go into CM Punk's in-ring promo. And CM Punk, he's confident about what he's going to do at the Elimination Chamber, confident that he's going to win. Then all of a sudden, Logan Paul comes out to new entrance music, so that was something. And Nashville showed Logan Paul absolutely no love. Punk basically compared Logan to Dominic Mysterio. They had a little bit of war of words, and then CM Punk got out of there. Then the main event started. Rey Mysterio came out. They went to commercial break. They come back, and there was a little bit in the beginning of this match where you could obviously tell Logan Paul was lost as shit in this match at the beginning, because he screws up one spot where Rey Mysterio's on his back, and Logan Paul's got one of his legs, and he just kind of holds it and kind of looks around like you could tell he was lost or something. Then he hits the ropes and does like a quarter roll through something. Then he hits the ropes again, and they kind of both bend down at the same time, like they're both thinking about doing a back body drop, and they kind of hit again. And you could tell Rey Mysterio pulled this match back together. And now they went to commercial, and after that they pulled it all. They got it all back together, and it wasn't a bad match at all. But that beginning part, I mean, this kind of shows why Logan Paul needs to be more active and not just come in for the big shows and that's it. Because this kind of showed or exposed him to the fans. And trust me, Nashville let his ass know, that they were chanting Logan Paul sucks, because he kind of did in that moment. So it was well deserved. Now, this match as a whole was great, though, because they did some great spots. You had Rey Mysterio doing his baseball slide to the floor with that splash deal that he's been doing for the last couple years. You had Logan Paul hit a massive, I don't know what you call it, I'm going to call it a fall-away moonsault slam that he hit off the second ropes, which was awesome. And then, Logan Paul countered one of Rey Mysterio's 619 attempts and hit him with a big boot. But then eventually Rey Mysterio does hit a 619. He goes up top for a big splash, but Logan Paul counters and hits him with this move that Pat McAfee called on commentary the Pulverizer, which I don't know what... It was so hard to call what it was. It was like a pump handle slam that he ended up rotating him around into a DDT. It was awesome. Just visually, it was an awesome move. And it definitely looks like a killer finisher. Now, will Logan be able to hit that on everybody? I don't know about that. But on Rey Mysterio, he hit it beautifully. Logan Paul wins the match. But my thing about how this show in general ended was more that Logan Paul leaves. And you could tell something was going on because the cameras were just kind of lingering. And then all of a sudden they cut back to the ring. They show Rey Mysterio. You see Kofi Kingston jump into the ring and hit him from behind. And then it just cuts to black, and that's the end of the show, to where I don't know if they ran long on time or if that's how they planned it. I mean, I don't know if they're going for the internet clicks in the aspect of trying to get people to see whatever they post on social media or get the fan cam footage or whatever the hell they're trying to do there. But my final thoughts, though, in this show was, it was a solid show. There was two actually three, because Logan Paul ended up bleeding in his match with Rey Mysterio from the nose. So you had Logan Paul bleeding, you had Liv Morgan bleeding, you had EO bleeding, to where there was three people that ended up bleeding on this show hard way. And then there was only 4 matches in a 2.5 hour show, which I just hate. And then also, like I said, with the commercial breaks, that's always going to be a problem for me. And if you've watched this channel before, you've heard me before complain about just how they pace the show and how a promo spot can get 20 minutes, but a match can't get, but 2 or 3 minutes at the start of the match. And then the rest of the show is just delegated in a way that I don't really like. I wish we got more match and not as much talking. I know the talking sets up the show and sets up everything, but for me, I really wish they would give us more match and less of this. But anyway, what did you guys think of tonight's Raw? Did you like it? Did you not? Was there some things you didn't like? What did you think about, especially the spot I was talking about with Liv and Raquel and EO with that damn code breaker double team spot? That was brutal, and I hope both of them are all right in that. But I'm gonna get out of here. This has been another edition of the Magnum Report. Peace.